Robert Maginnis is a retired lieutenant colonel and a Pentagon senior strategist, and he joins us now live from Woodbridge in Virginia. Thank you so much for being with us on the program today. Now, what do you make of these series of phone calls that Shoigu has held with his counterparts in Turkey, in the U.S., the U.K.? Is there something behind this this flow of diplomacy that Russia is currently undergoing?
Well, no doubt there's something behind what Shoigu has been doing. A flurry of phone calls to his counterparts in, France and UK and the United States indicates, to me at least, that they're looking at their strategy. Now, here recently, their strategy has been to use suicide drones to go after electrical grid, after infrastructure, try to break the will of Ukrainian people. But the allegation that Ukraine might use chemical or radiological devices to create a false flag to blame Moscow is something we've heard for the last 8 months coming out of the Kremlin. So I think, though, that they are at a tipping point here. Mr. Putin has taken a lot of casualties. The Ukrainians are making significant gains in spite of the infrastructure damage being done by Russian missiles and drones.
Mhm.
And so what we would anticipate, I think, is that this is really creating perhaps a pretext for going in a very different direction than Mr. Putin has gone so far. So this could anticipate a shift in strategy, and that
Right.
strategy might include a nuclear device. We'll have to wait and see.
So you think that these allegations that Russia is now making of Ukraine possibly using a dirty bomb might lead to Russia executing attacks by crossing that nuclear line?
I think Putin has become desperate. He's pulled into his inner circle. He's not listening to his senior generals like like Shogud, and it would appear as if that he's making policy and strategy all his own. And he's, of course, under great pressure domestically. His polling numbers are pretty bad with his people. They're fearful. They don't trust him. They're very nervous. And the oligarchs who are really pulling the strings here
Mhm.
will really give us an insight into perhaps where Mr. Putin wants to go. Now, uh, he's never changed his intent, and that is to resurrect a portion, at least, of the old Russian empire.
Mhm.
And he feels, as Macron, the French president, has said, this has been a terrible time in the post-Cold War era for Putin. He feels, resigned to, I suppose, mediocrity, just
Mhm.
a very bad position. So he's pushing back. His ultimatums are not to be dismissed. And so I would say, he's in a corner and he's
How
desperately trying to find something to do.
how much of Ukraine's counteroffensive do you think prompted Russia to make this shift in tactic?
Well, the counteroffensive, whether in Kharkiv all the way down to Kherson, has evidence that the Ukrainians haven't given up, and as a result, Mr. Putin went ahead. He mobilized 300,000. He's going to bring those people to bear in eastern Ukraine, and he's even talking to the Belarusians about creating a northern front once again to distract from the effort in the east. Now, the snow's about to fly in the east, winter's coming, and typically the fighting really diminishes. So there's a window of maybe 4 or 5 weeks here in which we'll see continued combat. But I think that if something dramatically doesn't happen, that this will certainly, continue through the winter.
Okay, Robert Maginnis, thank you so much for joining us here on TRT World and sharing that analysis with us.